outrage. I won't stand for it.
Up, Johnny.
This is a rare party. Oh, get down out there. Bye. Wait. Huh? That dude. I'll get you out of here. Hold on. Why, thank you. Oh, it's stuck in this. How's that? Now then. Well, hello, and hello. Welcome to Vermont, the most very populated state here. Haha, I make joke. Home of good old Bernard Sandusky, right? Your old boy Bernie there. Looking more and more like that Muppet Statler and Waldorf every day. And behaving more and more like a Muppet every day, too. But that's neither here nor there. We're here for the buildings, not for the politicians. No matter how doofy they are. No matter how crooked and corrupt and grifting they are. This is probably the very last installment of Vermont. I don't know. We'll see, I suppose. That's the way it appears to me, based on the cursory look, because it's a little, well, it gets reduced to like sort of more modern and drier material, let's say, to put it nicely. Well, this here is the Smith store. Not that one, that one. It doesn't really have any architectural interest. It's just a, vernacular early 20th century structure, and I guess it's on here because, well, it's owned by the state of Vermont because it was built in 1912. It's a classic example of a Vermont general store. You see the first floor and the living quarters on the second floor. I guess it's got a little basement there, though we're never told about that. But we are told in November 1927 a major flood inundated the state of Vermont, and Smith's store was wrenched from its foundation and carried down Main Street for 100 feet. There was a wing that was so damaged that it was removed prior to moving the building back. Yeah. Until May 1990, the Smiths and their descendants had retained contiguous ownership of the store for 70 years. In May, the state of Vermont acquired it. So there you have it. Not really the kind of stuff that brings a wow to your face. Wow, ever since the state owns it, they boarded it up with your buttholes. And oddly enough, this takes us next to not a building at all. Why, it's the Steamboat Ticonderoga, as you can tell. And it's a ferry, and what we are told is that it was built in 1906, and it is considered to be the only existing unmodified vessel of its type in the United States, symbolizing an era of travel that has all but vanished from American waters. It carried day passengers, excursion groups, and freight from 1906 through 1953, the last coal-powered ship in service on the lake, and is essentially unchanged. How about that? Carries about 1,200 people, burns about 2 tons of coal per hour. That's quite a bit. Burning coal to create steam always seems like a strange thing to me. It seems like there's gotta be an easier way to make steam than burning coal. After all, my iron makes steam, and I don't gotta burn coal to iron my clothes, you know what I'm saying? And very interesting that this is even on here, honestly. I guess someone built it, but it's not really a building, is it? And what else? It's about 220 feet long, and the engine is a WBA Fletcher walking beam steam engine. 1-cylinder, 53-inch bore, and 108-inch stroke for those of you who care about engines. Cruising speed about 17 miles per hour. And it is rather remarkable feat of engineering for 1906. Absolutely. Kind of a shame these old things went out of fashion. I wish that they kept some around. I mean, I know some of them are kind of around as novelties and things like that, but a dying breed, that's for sure. Well, it's kind of interesting to see. Oh, wow. That's quite the collection of wrenches you got there, Jerry. There she is, number 193. That's the old engine that we were talking about there. Like that old steampunk looking stuff. It is very cool. Tim O'Brien. Just look how nice it looks inside there. What if we get a better, I like the rooster on top. What if we get a better look at it or not? Hey, there's some people. Some dudes. Looks like the kitchen. Get that bird nest out of there. We got guests over. Wow. It is very nice. Very nice indeed. Nicest ferry I've ever seen. Oh. There's a tell, isn't it? Yes, indeed. The old Phoenix. And now I see. And now I wonder if this was even constructed the way that we are told at all. Or is this too a holdover from yesteryear? Curiouser and curiouser. I see. There's a dome ceiling inside of the freaking ferry. Okay. Well, I think I know what's going on here. But it's like that old Titanic era stuff, you know? You just wonder if it's really our doing or not. 3 captains? Or maybe the captain's an octopus. Hard to say. Now, this is the Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller National Historic Park. And they give us about 1 billion pictures for it. And it's an odd thing to include on here. personally, I think. But what we are told is that it's a monument to the evolution of conservation throughout the United States. Yes. Now, it's obviously more than just a park because there's actually a mansion on the property. This is a view of the rustic summer houses that are at the southern edge of the mansion grounds. See these little rustic stone retaining walls and all that. And this is a view out from the mansion entrance driveway towards the meadow. These lovely wrought iron urn lamps there. That's a giant gumdrop disguised as a bush. There are more of those gumdrops up there. They're a little spooky if you ask me. You. Go away. I hope that turned out cool. This is the east facade of the mansion on the east lawn. And look at that mansion. My lands. What a beauty. Oh, just look at that bad boy. I like those grooves in that chimney for some reason. It's a nice touch, you know what I'm saying? A very nice touch. And just look at that lovely lamp. Definitely an amazing place. I can see why the Rockefellers wanted to acquire it. This is a bronze sculpture called the Bather. The Bather with the booty. I added part of that because, you know, it just seemed incomplete. And this here is the flower garden and the Italian marble fountain installed in 1899 by Charles Platt. How about that? Like 107-year-old fountain. Time of this photograph. And you see the granite sundial pedestal. Yes, also in 1890 in construction. The little lily pond. Of course, you know. Silence. Who doesn't have a lily pond? And this here's a woodshed that was built in 1876. Good golly. That is an old woodshed. There's our... And a beautiful place. And the Rockefellers allegedly acquired this so that they could promote the narrative of Vermont. Of course, the Rockefellers are all about that narrative, aren't they? That's their words, not mine. Okay, so you can just keep those suspicions to yourself that I recklessly speculated that on my own. I did not. I'll tell you when I'm making stuff up. More views of the river, more views of Billings Park. And here we are looking towards the commercial buildings at the center of Woodstock Village, which looks like a charming place. Wowee. Pleasant Street is the name, and Pleasant Street, it is aptly named. This is the National Bank on the right here, built in 1901. And this one is the commercial center of the village. Sigh, Pleasant Street. Look at that. And we're looking towards the first Congregational Church, which was built in 1807 but remodeled in 1890. For some reason, I believe that to be absolutely true. Those dates, I mean. Tour of the park over. Now get out. Don't gotta be so rude. Now, this here is called Brown Bridge, built in 1880. It's one of the best designed examples of the Town Lattice Truss, which is a style of timber bridge, which is, of course, a covered bridge, as you can tell, built by Nicholas Powers of Clarendon, one of Vermont's best-known bridge builders. He was born in 1817, built his first bridge at age 20, and he built this one in 1880, the ripe age of 63. And it was the last bridge he built before he died 17 years later. And I'm not sure why. Well, it leads to Shrewsbury as a town associated with it, which is mostly forest today. Half the town is residential. The southeast half is basically pasture. It was extensively farmed in the 19th century. Dairy was the major industry, maple syrup in the spring, and they had lumber with the hardwoods, beech, birch, maple, and they had some hemlock and spruce for some softwoods. There's a place called Cuttingsville, which was the major shipping center, because it was on the railroad, and North Shrewsbury was the chief industrial center. So Cold River and Mill River run through it. Both streams are near their sources, and there's only a few sites that required spans long enough to have housed timber trusses. Cuttingsville briefly had a covered bridge. The early history of the bridge is unknown. Probably a ford, they assume, and then by the time the population peaked at 1289 in 1830, the constructed coincided with the end of the prosperity, but times were still good, and it has an expensive slate roof. So this huge erratic boulder you see is basically the northwest, the main abutment on the one side, which is pretty dope, actually. And covered bridges are uniquely American. I think that's why people really love them so much. Honestly, I don't see the big deal about them, but they're on the survey, so, here we go. What are you gonna do, Moving on to bridge number 2. This is the Flint Bridge, which spans the First Branch White River. And it's in Orange County, which Vermont has an Orange County too. That's wild, bro. And this style of bridge has a history going back to the Middle Ages. Yeah. So the first bridge on this site was built in 1804 or before 1804. And this one was built in 1874. Turn Bridge is the covered bridge capital of Vermont, at least. There's 5 of them within its boundaries. Although there is a place called Montgomery, Vermont that has 6, so I don't know why that's not the covered bridge capital, but still. The frick. When this was built, it was on the main road. The town records are complicated because so many projects were going on at the same time, no one can tell. Now, this one was restored in 1969 when they tried to be sensitive of it. And the history of this bridge is definitely in question, they say. Because, yeah, it looks scarier than hell. I'd say so. I wouldn't drive on that sunbee. And this one is the Taftsville Bridge. On Taftsville Bridge Road in Taftsville. Solomon Emmons III was the builder, and this is also in the town of Woodstock. And this is actually the 4th one because all the others were washed out in flood in 1807, 1811, and 1828. And it was raised at one point because it did get damaged, and they turned this dam here into an electric generating station, as you can see here. And at some point, they painted it red, which you can't tell, and cut windows into it. And you would think that this is named after the president, this place, Taftsville, but it's not. Stephen Taft was the first settler, 1793, although there was agricultural settlements in the area earlier. So it wasn't really the first, but the first one we're going to give credit to. The builder was a prominent local settler, which was destroyed by Napoleon's army. I'm not sure why. We just assume that this guy got the idea from a bridge that was constructed in the Middle Ages, but allegedly it is a very archaic style. Covered bridge mania. Haven't seen this many bridges since we covered Connecticut, although not many of those were covered. This one's the Shoreham Railroad Bridge, which spans Lemon Fair River, and it's definitely not in use anymore. I don't see no railroad across that. Unless I'm some sort of a dumb sunbee. Looks like that railroad's done been torn up. In 1897 it was built. Yeah, now it's just a pedestrian bridge. And there's only 8 surviving covered wood railroad bridges left in the United States, and this be one of them. And it's in a hamlet known as Richville. Richville. Y'all better live up to that name. Y'all better got gold teeth or be wearing a ruby ring. Can't be named your town Richville unless everybody there's all uppity. These are pretty crazy the way they look. They just look like they're floating. It's magic. Kind of interesting how they keep their balance straight without like a curve. It's just pretty awesome. They look like actually houses that had the floor washed out from under from a distance. That's cool stuff, bruh. A miracle, a modern feat of engineering. This is the Village Bridge spanning the Mad River at Bridge Street in Washington County in Fayston. And we are told it is the oldest covered bridge in Vermont, a rare survivor of the early craftsman tradition of a wooden truss bridge construction. Built in 1833, and look at that, got a little place for the pedestrians. The first bridge here was built in 1796, and it was destroyed by flood, and the second bridge was destroyed by flood in 1824, and in 1830 the third bridge was destroyed by flood. So, like the last one, the 4th one seems to be the charm, 1833. Covered bridges galore. That is an old, I don't even know how that's even possible to maintain that. That just seems like a miracle. Just made it wood. Crazy. And I'm sorry that these bridges are probably very boring. Be a miracle if you was still watching. But this here's the Morgan Bridge. You can tell a grad student submitted this one because it comes with a 45-page write-up, which is patently ridiculous to write 45 pages about this bridge. Especially since it was sort of remodeled. And look at the size of it. It's not even that large. So yeah, Morgan Bridge. I don't know what you're doing on here, bro. Now this is sort of weird. This jumps into this next little section of them. But we're back at that park, the Rockefeller Billings Park, with a bunch of color photos, which I guess is kind of cool. So you can just see what we already looked at, but in color. But an odd little addition to this survey, Vermont. Been kind of a quirky one. Seemingly one of the first ones that they began with. Yeah, just things not really following the normal procedure that we usually see on these surveys based on all the other states. There's that mansion part of it. What a beauty. Doesn't look very bronze to me. The bronze booty bather, whatever the name was. There's the town of Woodstock. Wow, what a nice park. Now, it really is. This here is actually part of the engineering record. There appears to be a little bit of an overlap here. But this is about the ski lift, oddly enough. And I guess it's the longest and oldest operating single-chair ski lift in its original form, in its original location in North America. That's a strange qualifier. It's a historical treasure for the ski industry, I'm told. It's known as Chair Number 1. And it was installed in 1947, so this is a little bit later than normally we like to cover, but it is on here, and it is worth noting that it's on here. There you you have it. And I fear that we're going to go in Vermont, we're going to go off the rails here into territory that sometimes... Ooh. Oh, only single chair? Hey, I guess it said single chair. I didn't think it meant just one person. And it's the longest? Yeah, that's kind of a boring ride. You at least need a buddy to talk to, you know what I'm saying? And just when I thought Vermont was going to plummet into the land of boredom, here we got this old world banger. You've restored my faith. And this is the Ira Allen chat, although there's only one picture with it, which is actually kind of sucky. Look at that thing. It's the Ira Allen Chapel in Burlington, and it's on the campus of the University of Vermont, built in 1925, and is designed by our old friends McKim, Mead, and White. Well, how about that? And that is all we're told about it. Just one picture. It's kind of whack. And here we have St. Charles Roman Catholic Church, another old world banger on 31 Cherry Hill Street. This one's in Bellows Falls. And this one we are also told literally nothing about it, and just given one picture. Why in the world are they doing this to us? This is the second survey in a row where we get these amazing old churches that you would think they'd have a great story to tell since someone wrote 45 pages about a covered bridge, but no. Instead, we get one photograph and very little information, which is an outrage. This is the first Congregational Church in St. Albans, and also we are told literally nothing about it. Okay, how about that? At least this one we get 2 pictures. Oh, wait, no, we don't. That's a different one. What? This is the Billings Memorial Library in Burlington, the same Billings who owned the park, and we are told nothing about it, just given this picture. Look at that thing. That's amazing. Look at the detailing on that stuff. That's freaking awesome. And all this looks like the same. It is not. The Judavine Memorial Library in Hardwick, which is, again, we are told very little about. Other was built in 1897 by a local architect named Lambert Packard. Wow. And it's got those little, like, slitted attic roof that look like eyes. You only see this usually in like Latvia, that town Riga, I think. It's the city with eyes, if my memory is doing me good. And this here is the Old West Church in Kent's Corners in Washington County, built in 1825. Also told nothing about it. Started to see a pattern here. This is Free Will Baptist Seminary in Waterbury. Dates back to 1869 as well. Man, everything built in 1869, basically. Look at this building. This is amazing. Basement down here. Just incredible. At least you've restored my faith in you here at the end, Vermont. Or near the end, I guess. This is the Randall Barn. Well, I'm sorry. This is the Martin Barn. Nothing about it, except it's from a marsh field. This over here. Sort of like a loading area. It just seems so funny. But apparently it's a thing, because here, this is a different one. This one's the Randall Barn in Huntington. And, of course, no information, but we are told... Well, we're told nothing. So, there you have it. Therefore, you will learn nothing. Kent's Tavern in Kent's Corners, which we were told was built in 1837. And it definitely looks like it's been added onto, because this brick part here looking older than hail, and you get these wooden wings that don't have the same little structure underneath now, do they? And I think we know why. This here is the Grassland Stock Farm Barn, whatever the frick that is. And this little cutie with the beautiful little Victorian trim is the Whitman House. Keeping with the theme of having no information, I guess you just can look at it and just think it's cool and wonder about it the way I am. You will learn nothing. Weird how they do that. Just suddenly decide that all these amazing properties don't deserve. This guy trying to run to get out of the picture. Nah, damn it, Billy. You ruined the one picture. The Brainerd House here in Franklin County. In St. Albans is the name of the town. Look at this. This is amazing. It's like icicles like trim here. But again, a double chimney. All the way across the sky. Look at the reds around here. The suspicious little underground. That's it. You just get the name. Very uncommon to have this sort of lack of information on the Historic American Building Survey, where we're supposed to be all about narrative. Isn't that right, everybody? Yeah. Thanks, family. And this is the Lake House Hotel on Grand Isle County. Well, in Grand Isle County. There, I said it. No one knows when it was built. Well, at least if they know, they ain't talking. You know, I like the way that this is just tearing through a bunch of old amazing buildings here at the end, but I do wish they'd tell us at least something about them. This is Barlow Street School, also in St. Albans, which seems like a place full of old world splendor. Look at that thing. That is pretty incredible. Entrance there. When I think of Vermont, though, really, I think of like wooden churches like this, personally. Although this isn't a church, this is the South Woodstock Academy. Well, of course, I might have known. I mean, it does look like a school. Or did. That's not this. This is that. This is Orange County Courthouse in Chelsea. Man, that is super cool. One picture each. It's all you get, dude. Make sure it's a good one. Now, why would they do that? Why would they just not even put a date of construction on some of these? Very weird. This is in Enosburg Center in Franklin County called the Church Barn. Man, we are told nothing about it. Very odd building, actually, that one. So I guess we can just make up our own history. Montpelier City Hall. Damn, that is an incredible building. Just look at that bad boy. You're killing it right now, dude. These are quite incredible. And why will they give us all this information about covered bridges, but nothing about this beauty? It's mind-boggling. This is the Bar Italian Baptist Church. Looks like it's been sort of restructured over the years, don't it? The Royalton Meeting House on the Green in Royalton. At least this one, we're told, it's one of the oldest in the state of Vermont, built in 1840. So at least there's that. Only a cute little ball on the top. And this is the Holly Hall in Bristol in Addison County. And man, that is so dope. Wonder what goes on up here, though. Just a looking deck, huh? Seems like a lot of effort to put into just a little looking deck. But you know, what do I know? People tell me all the time in the comments. I don't know, Jack. Ah, nice. A color photo of that old eagle in the Ticonderoga steamship. Oh, there she is on full color. And I'm gonna go ahead and not talk about that one. Why? Okay, this is exactly what I'm talking about with the problem with these surveys. This bridge, this dumpy bridge, gets 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pictures, and we get one of those amazing churches and libraries and campus buildings that we just passed. Unbelievable. What is the game here? Who goes through these and just minimizes these old amazing buildings, even on a survey dedicated to celebrating them and documenting them? I mean, it's just so bizarre. I think we often speculate that the more you look into the idea that there's conspiracy to suppress history and things, eventually it takes you to a spiritual place. We realize there's some other battle going on, and the battleground is here. And this is just one phase, one area of the war. That's at least what most people have eventually kind of come to, assuming. And so I understand that part of it. I understand what the end game is there, but I wonder, well, from the human side of it, like who is the person, authorized within this bureaucracy? Who is the person or the people that go through and make these decisions, and for what? What is their motivation? Are they just possessed? Is there some logical, rational reason why they would do something like that? But yet give so much focus on things like these bridges that are much more modern, in worse condition, and much less interesting, and built much later. I mean, I don't understand, and I really wish that there was someone that would explain it to me. But there's not, so that's it. We just left to feel strange and in the dark often. There was a comment made recently on a video that I want to agree with 100%. It was someone noting that they were from Colorado, that the survey had a bunch of rustic old stuff on it and ignored the abundance of old world and amazing buildings that are all around there. And I agree completely. And one of the things that the amount of things that are overlooked and the things that instead are singled out and brought forward, they don't match what we see in America. So that's why I eventually started going through the districts, the registry, state by state, county by county. It's slow and painstaking, but that is why I started those other two series, because I'm trying to fill in the gaps of all that's out there. So I agree 100% these surveys don't do these places justice at all. And I don't know what's going on here. What is this little brick down here? What is this brick in the middle of looks like a collapsed dam? Oh, but of course, don't pay no mind to that. Go back to the park. Look at the Rockefeller Lily Pond. Be distracted. This may be, we go down in history here, as the smallest of these surveys, Vermont, because this is pretty much the end of it. This is an armory, we're told here, right? It's amazing. And we're told it was from 1846 it was built, and Samuel Robbins manufactured firearms here until 1856, 10 years when it went out of business, I guess. But yet the building here remains, and it is a water-powered industrial behemoth, the likes of which we won't see ever again, I doubt. Well, unless things change. Look at the inside of that thing. It's amazing it's still around, actually. That should tell you something about the methods used in construction. Things been out of business since 1856. I mean, I'm sure something else moved in there, but still, you know what I'm saying. What the frick is this? Wow. Not expect to see this here at the end. This looks like it's something from the medieval times. And in fact, it is the entrance to the cemetery, the Green Mount, like Vermont, the Green Mount. Soldier's Lot. 1865, we're told it was built. And that's it. Just for those 9 people. On kind of a somber note, note here. But that is where Vermont wraps up. I guess you get a couple more color pictures of that ski lift. Anyway, man, that was a weird one. Weird ride, and be surprised if anyone stuck through it. But here we are, and that wraps up Vermont. So to another state, come and gone with the weird representation of buildings. But I'll be back, and I will see you soon.